here, food is so inexpensive and so high quality everywhere. You know, you look at this and it's just so bright and vibrant and colorful, and it can be really intimidating. But this is the key to unlocking Thai food, is being willing to take that dive and try stuff you've never tried before. This idea that a country or a culture can claim a dish. No, you can't. No, you can't. What is Chinese food? There's no such thing as Chinese food. Chinese food doesn't exist. You want to get me out of my house on a writing day, just invite me here. I'll drop everything to come here anytime. Cheers. 我真的可以吃辣。Yes. Trust me. 吃嘛吃辣，没关系。
Toski coming to you from Bangkok today. Today is yet another very hot day in Bangkok, Thailand. And joining me today, we have a special guest bringing me to a special restaurant. We have Adam from OTR, which is the channel On the Road, Off the Road. He does amazing stuff. I found his channel on YouTube and I saw his video and I was like, that was the type of video I want to make someday, or at least part of it. I sent him a message. Then there we are.
That was just a couple of days ago. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, I apologize for finding a place with the most street noise you're going to have to somehow tone down later.
I'm fine with that. Like, I want to have holes in the wall type of situation.
So I got a message from Futsuki asking me would I like to come on and show him something that maybe he wouldn't find. As you said, this is what, your 4th or 5th day in Bangkok?
Yeah.
Can I show you something that you would not typically find as a tourist?
Right.
And that's kind of the reason why we started my channel in the first place. I did not like Bangkok. And I've said that on my show, so that's not a big secret. I used to come here for work when I was a chef. I'd come consult on restaurants, or I'd come here representing a brand. I came here as a tourist because everybody comes through Bangkok as a tourist if you're in Southeast Asia. Right. And I was honestly disappointed with the food because there's so much Thai food all over the world that I had my expectations of what I would see. The stoplight curries, green, yellow, red curries,
yes.
the pad thai, all these things. And then what I actually found outside of the tourist areas where the food's not that great to begin with here, what I actually found I didn't really recognize, and it wasn't what I hoped for or expected. And so I honestly, in the beginning wasn't really crazy about Bangkok. We moved here not by choice. We moved here because we had to. During COVID, we needed a place that would take us. Most of the borders were closed around the world and we were leaving China, both of our home country.
Right. So by the way, Adam actually lived in China for like more than
13 years, yeah.
Yeah, and he speaks Mandarin as well. And I was born in China and I live in New York, and he was born in...
born in New York, but I lived in China.
And now we are both in Thailand and we know Chinese food.
The point is that basically, when I moved here, what I quickly kind of found out was that I had to change my expectations of Thai cuisine completely, because the Thai food that exists for the foreign market is very different from what people actually eat here. And once you kind of understand that and you're okay with that and you start to explore that, you find out that there's just no end to the amazing stuff that you're going to find. And part of it is close to both of our hearts as being influenced. Bangkok is a very Thai Chinese city. There's a lot of stuff that you can track down that has Indian origins, Portuguese, Laotian, Malay. Bangkok is such a melting pot that really understanding Thai food, you have to kind of be very open-minded and try a lot of different things. And the heart and soul of all of that is a style of eating called Khao Gaeng, which literally translates to curry over rice. And it's not just curries, it's just anything you can serve. In China, you call it a xiafan dish, right?
Yeah.
And this is my favorite of all the Bangkok Khao Gaeng places, and that's a huge statement. I think that this has been here since 1971. Before that, it was a street cart for a long time in the past. And the way these Khao Gaeng restaurants work is that they kind of started usually with families or friends or neighbors who all had their own street carts. And eventually they would just come together and put their money together and put their resources together and open one restaurant serving all these different dishes. And that's the story with this place and why they moved to this location, started making this amazing range of food. They have printed menus, which is new. I was just here a couple weeks ago and they didn't have these yet.
Oh yeah?
But it's really encouraging that they're starting to get enough foreign visitors that they have a translated menu. But we're going to order by pointing, as you should when you're here.
Of course, let's do that.
However, it's really cool to see, for your sake, just how much stuff is on offer at one of these restaurants. And if you actually want to understand the diversity of Thai cuisine and what Bangkok specifically is really all about, you have to start by diving into a Khao Gaeng counter like this one.
Well, today we're doing that exactly.
Do you want to get a couple plates of rice and then we just get dishes to put in the middle to share, or do you want to scoop your own stuff onto your rice?
We can do the share style.
Share style?
There's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Okay, let's do the catfish. One. So, rice 2.
ปลาดุกกรอบ1ข้าวเปล่า2
Let's do no more Penang curry. They're sold out of that.
แดงหมด
Let's do the green curry.
green curry
Let's. Yeah, fishball. 1.
โอเคแกงถ้วย1
Let's do this 2.
โอเค
Can we get a 1 sweet pork?
ซื้อเข้ามา
Yeah.
โอเค
And then let's do a namprik kapi. And let's get one more thing. And what else do we want? So we've got a curry, we've got the catfish, we've got our namprik, and we have. It can't be all. There must be something else that I ordered. We have the pork. Okay, last thing.
There are so many choices. Like I wouldn't be able to make a decision. Just look at that. That is mind-boggling. What is that? Is that chicken or something?
Which one?
The a beautiful
Yes,
little.
that is chicken. No, it's okay. Let's do this
หวาน
one,
หวาน
and I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. I usually over order whenever I'm here, so I try to be reasonable. We got a decent range of everything.
This is gonna be my 1 meal per day situation.
Let's start with that.
All right, so now we have this beautiful, healthy spread of things. We're ordering so much, it's almost like a message situation.
You can look at it that way. This is a little bit excessive, but I tend to overdo it. If you come here by yourself, you would just get rice, and then you'd ask for a few things scooped onto the rice. So this is something that is kind of family style.
Right.
You can order by the portion for sharing, but the classic way to order would be a much smaller portion of each of these things.
Right.
And you just get your rice and you put a couple things on top, and that's kind of my daily lunch where I live. Is just the neighborhood Khao Gaeng lady.
So basically like a Chinese gai jiao fan.
Very similar. You know, and a lot of cultures in Asia have a variation of this style of eating.
Right.
You know, where I used to live in Indonesia as well, you have nasi padang, which is a similar style where you just have a counter with all the day's food and you can get whatever you want scooped onto your rice. Or you can have it all on the table like this, and this is the Bangkok style. From what I understand, they start cooking at 2:30 in the morning every day. It's one lady who does all of the cooking here and has since the 1970s.
Oh, wow.
And she's up early in the morning and she'll do each of these dishes, and then whatever they make that day is what they serve. And here it's fairly standard. This place is well known enough. You know you can find the classics. There is some variation on the margins, but the reason why I come here is pretty much everything I ordered on the table. I wanted to show you a variety of dishes and how Khao Gaeng kind of works. So we're going to start with the nam prik, which if you want to understand basic Thai cuisine, a lot of meals all over the country from the far north to the far south is going to start with some variation of a nam prik, which translates basically to a chili dip. That doesn't necessarily mean it's spicy, and this one is actually going to be more tamarind based. So it's a little bit sweet and sour. It's called nam prik ong, and this is something that's really special at this restaurant. You don't find this very often because it's super intensive to make. Nam prik, depending on what you order and where you order, is going to come with fresh vegetables. In this case, it just looks like slices of cucumber that are chilled on ice. Sometimes you'll get these big, like almost Vietnamese-looking spreads of herbs and vegetables. Sometimes you'll get dried fish. But whatever it is, it's meant to be eaten with the nam prik, and that's kind of a, you know, Khao Gaeng style. You eat whatever you want, whenever you want. But classically, a nam prik is going to be kind of a Thailand version of an appetizer. Okay. After that, everything else is just sort of like, what do we like? And don't be afraid in a Khao Gaeng restaurant to just literally look at what somebody else is eating and point at that. This is what I do for a living, and I don't understand half of what I see. I'm constantly surprised because people are cooking their grandmother's recipes, right? They're coming from all kinds of different parts of the country, and you're going to have the crowd pleasers. You have the basic green curry almost everywhere, which we ordered today. The catfish with the basil is a Khao Gaeng staple. You will almost never find a restaurant that doesn't serve it. There's always some kind of a stir fry. You know, you see some noodle dishes that are stir-fried, some vegetable stir-fried. That all comes obviously from our brothers in China, and brothers and sisters in China. So I wanted to get something Chinese. And so today what I ordered is what they call on their menu Chinese vegetables. That's just the name of this dish.
Okay.
It looks like, I've never ordered this here, but it looks like we have some most likely pork rib meat belly along with what looks like tofu and a bunch of different vegetables in what is going to be very likely a stock made of soy sauce and some spices, but that'll be very mild. This is the thing that made us fall in love with the restaurant originally, which is what I call kind of Thai meatballs, and it's minced pork mixed with crab meat, and then it's going to be cooked with a salted egg in the middle, and that's served with this, which is a really nice and bright green chili sauce. So we have our pork meatballs, we have our nam prik, we have our Chinese vegetable, whatever that is, we have our catfish with basil. The specialty of the restaurant, and everybody makes their own specialty in a Khao Gaeng restaurant. The family here says that what they're best known for in this neighborhood is this dish, sweet pork. So it's pork belly that they just dry. It looks like they cook it in several stages where it's probably boiled and then roasted and glazed.
This one looks like the Chinese gulao rou to me.
You're going to taste it, and it's going to be a little bit different in terms of the texture, but the basic concept is very similar.
I see.
And then this is the last thing that I'm going to explain, which I already referenced.
Tom kha kai?
Gaeng Tod.
Oh, okay.
green curry.
Okay.
And I'm really glad you made that mistake because everyone does. Green curry is the dish of Bangkok, and it looks absolutely nothing like what we expect overseas.
Right.
You know, our green curry that's evolved to fit the foreign palate is a thick, sweet curry that happens to be green in color. In Thailand, it's a spicy, very thin broth. We have some gourd, coconut, but the key component, the protein, you'll see it typically either with chicken or with homemade fish balls. And so this is the fish ball version. So that's going to be pounded clown featherback fish, or knife fish, right? Which they make into fish balls in the green curry. That's a perfect example of a really classic, uniquely Thai dish that looks very different from what you'd find overseas. And altogether, this is a fantastic way to start the day, and I haven't eaten yet, so I'm very excited.
Me too. I haven't eaten today either, and this is going to be my 1 meal per day situation. So
I don't know how
have to
you do
stop
that. I can't do the 1 meal per day thing. I have friends who do. For me, just if there's food in front of me, I'm gonna eat it.
Well, let's just eat. Let's dig in.
Classically, you're gonna start with the nam prik. So I'm gonna scoop a little bit of this onto my rice and then have it with some vegetables. But honestly, Khao Gaeng, like just go to town, get whatever you want. This is not elegant food, but this really is the taste of Thailand. I'm gonna steal this just because I'm worried that you're gonna take both of them, and I have to protect myself because it's delicious. That gets its sauce. So you won't find this in New York, you won't find this in China, but in Bangkok, you know, really every corner of Thailand, you know, not only is it really photogenic and it's really delicious, but it is how local people eat. You know, one thing that's really interesting as well about this is that some people get mad at me when I say this because they say, oh, my family cooks at home. I'm not saying this unanimously, but the eating at home culture in Thailand is so much less than anywhere else I've ever been in the entire world. Here, food is so inexpensive and so high quality everywhere. And also fundamentally, you know, home kitchens are typically fairly small. A lot of people in Thailand, a huge percentage of people in Thailand will buy their lunch and dinner at the same time, get it taken away, bring it home, or they'll walk down the street, get a few bags of something, bring it home for the family. This is a perfect example of the kind of thing that you'll see people eating in. But Khao Gaeng, a lot of these places like this exist for working people to walk past on their lunch break, even on their way to work in the morning, find some stuff that they're going to bring home for their, you know, wives or husbands or kids or parents. The main genesis of a Khao Gaeng culture is food to take home.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
food to take home. A big range of stuff like this. Make it with rice. 2 dipping sauces. I told you about this one for the meatball.
Okay.
This is going to be the classic fish sauce in chili, and you can just put that on anything. They serve it here alongside the green curry, but you can put that just as a classic Thai garnish.
I see.
Let's make some room for the catfish. It's on the bone, so I know you're Chinese, you won't mind that.
Yeah.
A little bit of basil, some of the nice crispy bits. That's a must at a
That
Khao Gaeng
looks
counter.
so good, I'm not gonna lie.
And then I'm gonna take some green curry. You know, you look at this and it's just so bright and vibrant and colorful. And it can be really intimidating as a foreigner when you come here as a visitor because it's all so unfamiliar. But this is the key to unlocking Thai food, is being willing to take that dive and try stuff you've never tried before. And a great way to start is at a Khao Gaeng counter. Let's get some green curry. So tell me what you think so far of what you see. I know you haven't tasted it yet. Did I choose a decent place for
I
you
mean,
to...
they definitely seem very appetizing. You know, people do eat with their eyes.
Yeah.
That's why, like, in so many dishes, for example, like, you know, Chinese food, right? If something is lacking color, we have something to add color to it. For example, lao chou, the old soy sauce, kang chai, sugar color, right?
Yep.
You need these things to make them more appetizing. I think they're definitely doing these parts. Just look at all the beautiful color. We have green, we have red, we have yellow, we have just a little bit everything, even like this milky white substance. It's just like,
I'm just telling you, I mean, just look at this, right? Like, this is my lunch. I'm very excited. Chili and fish sauce. I'm always happy to come here. I've never been disappointed.
this is like an ultimate in Thailand gai jiao fan. By the way, like authentically, you eat with spoon and fork. There's no chopsticks. You can ask for one, but like this is the Thai way of doing it.
Thailand, the utensils are fork and spoon. You want to eat like a local, you eat with the spoon, you cut with the fork.
I don't know if that's because I'm hungry or it's just that good, or maybe both.
What was the first thing you tried?
That lam prick,
Oh my God.
that salty, savory, and with the slight acidic, sweet pop from that tomato. It's like really fresh ingredients and everything.
So Thai food is really, it's not unique to Thai food, but balance is very much the goal in all Thai food, but especially when you're mixing and matching dishes in a place like this. You know, if you go to a Thai Khao Gaeng counter and you order just 3 versions of a Penang curry or a red curry or something like that, do it. There's no rules. Get whatever makes you happy. However, that's not a typical Thai way to eat. The Thai way to eat is you need to get sweet, sour, salty, spicy. There was a term, I'm gonna have to look this up in one of our videos, but each Thai meal should include something fried, which we have, a curry, which we have, a soup, which we have, something fresh, which we have, and a stir fry.
Right, I think I saw that too, like this theory on a YouTube video talking about this combination.
That's right.
We think we're definitely abiding to that today.
This is the one thing on the table that I haven't tried before. That's fantastic. It's water, morning glory, pork, and tofu. There may be more stuff buried under there that I have. It looks like cabbage in here too.
Is this bamboo?
And that's bamboo for sure.
That's just pure comfort food, maximum deliciousness.
Cheers. By the way, I should say, I'm sure you'll say this anyway in your video, but I don't want to leave without giving credit to the restaurant where we are. This is a really special place. We're kind of on the outskirts of Chinatown. If you come as a tourist to Bangkok, it's pretty likely you're going to swing through Chinatown. It's one of the most famous parts of the city.
Right.
The food in Chinatown is hit or miss. There are cool places. There's amazing food to be had in Chinatown. But that whole area is just so overwhelming and so crowded that locals in Bangkok don't usually eat in the busiest street that's for tourists. Areas around Chinatown were the first roads built in Bangkok, so the first permanent restaurants, which means there's a lot of history in this area. There's a lot of old traditions that are kept alive, and there's a lot of great food. So where we are is a restaurant called May On's Khao Gaeng. So May On is a woman who owns a restaurant.
Right, but in fact, the name here, the sign doesn't even have English, it's all Thai.
That's right.
And like I said, I was in Bangkok for like 4 days, 5 days, and I went to Chinatown 3 days straight in a row. I can confirm that. It's a hit or miss.
That's right. But all you have to do is walk 1 block in any direction away from the main Chinatown. You're going to find some amazing stuff.
This is amazing. It's just like you have to know. Like as a tourist, it's not really likely you will just wander by yourself through this place without kind of knowing in advance.
I remembered what I was trying to explain earlier. Let me try that again. There's a saying that we were taught in one of our videos by a Thai friend of ours, which is, if I'm remembering correctly, Pad Gaeng Tod. And that basically means the 4 styles of food that you have to have on any proper Thai meal to make it really a complete meal. So tom means soup. So we have this. Pad means stir fry, which we didn't necessarily order. You can call the crispy catfish, I guess, a stir-fry dish because it's deep fried and then
Yeah, it involves some of the action.
But we skipped that today because that's less exciting and unique. Pad Gaeng Tod. Gaeng means curry or a thicker soup, which is a green curry, and Tod means crispy or fried. You know, so deep fried, right?
Yeah.
So the pork belly here is going to satisfy the Tod requirement.
Right.
So, you know, we're trying to kind of create a flavor balance, a texture balance in every classic Thai meal.
Also, I just tried the pork too. It is a little different from the Chinese variety. I think this one is much denser.
Classically going to be air dried before it's going to be cooked.
Oh, okay.
So that's the big difference in texture.
Now I'm gonna eat this beautiful creation.
Hit it with a little bit of sauce.
This one?
Just a little spoon of that on top.
It's meatball patties, really densely packed. Again, it's comfort food, but it's really good.
And one thing I think that's when you saw this, you were just talking about the pork. You mentioned this. There's a couple of things that, do you trigger China? You know, you see something that looks recognizably Chinese. So what's the difference? I mean, there's a lot of differences, and that would be a completely different video. We have a lot of different videos on my channel that's explored that subject, and it's barely even scratched the surface.
Right.
However, if I had to really oversimplify it and say the difference between something that looks Chinese, how it's prepared in Thailand versus how it's prepared in China, Thailand, as an overall general theory, doesn't use salt. And that's not unanimous. You know, again, if somebody's gonna watch this and say, oh, my grandmother uses salt. Okay, some people do, but classically seasoning in Thai cuisine is fish sauce for saltiness, and it's citrus. You have, you know, lime, you have tamarind. You know, that's where you get the brightness and that flavor pop in a dish. In China, that same dish might be made without citrus, but with salt.
So,
and that's
also
a huge,
MSG.
Well, MSG is beloved everywhere. We use that here too.
Okay.
Flavor crystals. Yeah.
I love MSG, by the way.
I'm a chef. We love MSG. Do you have a favorite thing on the table?
Wow. I would say everything was pretty good. Nam prick, fried catfish, and even this.
This is a big revelation to me. It doesn't look like much. I got it just to give you an example of something that was a little bit more Chinese influence. It's delicious. It's really well made, which I shouldn't be surprised about.
In fact, the Chinese influence thing is quite interesting. I know you're a friend with Kristen Stepp for Chinese Cooking Demystified, and he actually talked about, I think in one of his videos, about something he finds like culturally similar about like Thai cuisine and Chinese. What I can tell you is that pretty much all ethnics in Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Cambodia, or some of today, their ancestors were in somewhere in China 2,000, 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And they migrated out of China. You probably know like ethnic Hmong. There are some ethnic Hmong living in Thailand. They call them stateless people. They migrate out of China very late in the stage, like Qing Dynasty, like 1800.
You know, if there's one mission I have for my channel, it's that I am very, not to make this political, I'm very anti-nationalism as a person, but in food. This idea that a country or a culture can claim a dish. No, you can't. No, you can't. And what I mean by that is, I, as a chef who enjoys researching the dishes that I'm cooking, get very offended and upset when people try to claim a dish as, oh, this is mine, this is Chinese, this is Thai, this is something, this is something. No, it's not. First of all, every single dish, not just on this table, but pretty much in existence, is a product of centuries or millennia of people and cultures mixing and matching, right? So you have techniques that may have come from China. You have techniques that came from all corners of the globe, mixing with ingredients that might have crossed the ocean during the Columbian Exchange.
Right.
You know, a lot of these dishes have origins, you know, whether they're modern dishes or not, they have roots and influences that go back to before borders were drawn. So, you know, we can talk about like, yeah, there were some of the original settlers in Thailand came from China. Sure, but there was no China back then. The Mon, the original settlers of Southeast Asia, other than the indigenous people here, came 5,500 years ago from the Yangtze River Basin, where they followed the riverlands down into what's now Myanmar. They were the first to settle the Chao Phraya in Bangkok, and they were the rice farmers. They were the ones who brought rice farming and agriculture to this area. So yes, they do come from what's now China, but their food is their own, right? And then again, what is Chinese food? There's no such thing as Chinese food. Chinese food doesn't exist. Chinese food in Jiangsu or in Xinjiang or in Inner Mongolia or in Hainan Island are completely different things. You know, and this whole thing of China has 8 different culinary traditions. No, it doesn't. China has 1,000 different culinary traditions. You know, and so Bangkok, most Chinese influence comes from the Teochew, Chaoshan, Chaozhou Shantou, right? That's 90% of Bangkok's Chinese ethnic community. There's a lot of Hainanese who came in the 1800s, right? Centuries after the first Teochew arrived, and a lot of them went to Singapore first and then came to Thailand. You don't have very much Dongbei food. It's geographically a lot farther, right? There are a lot of Thai Chinese dishes, but I don't know that I would personally call them Thai or Chinese. They're just dishes that have evolved thanks to the influence of the Chinese, the tastes of the local Thais, the ingredients that came from everywhere. You know, it's a really interesting melting pot, Bangkok, and it's a great place to kind of see in any one dish the story behind it.
Right, because all food there are like a product of cultural exchange. I know some people are very old school, like some Chinese and some Italian as well. You're like, oh, you don't change my grandma's recipe, you know, like that type of things. But the thing is, culture evolves all the time, right? So for example, all the chili we use, they come from America, right? So things like that, I can see the Chinese influence in it.
100%.
And the thing is, like, there are many dishes that is just like a cross between many cultures, and that's just something that's, I find it fascinating about food, that you can trace culture just through food.
100%. So we say on our channel that the story of food is the story of people. You know, and we're a food channel, but really we're trying to kind of talk about people.
Right.
And the idea is, you know, how did, just in this one dish, right? We have what looks like a Southern Chinese technique of making a stew out of pork belly and tofu these tofu puffs, which is a very Chinese ingredient. But then you also have water morning glory as the primary vegetable component, which is classically
really
found in
Thai.
southern Thailand. The flavor, again, if you taste it, triggers China to me.
Yeah.
But there's also,
Like Thai spirit in it as well.
again, it's tamarind instead of salt, right? It's,
Right.
it's the acid or salty component.
Salt and acid are the two components that can enhance the dish, right?
Exactly. Green curry as well. This is something that is a 20th century dish. The first time we see this made was actually in the 1910s or 1920s, right here in Bangkok. However, you know, the technique of making the curry paste and all of this is just a new version of a very, very old dish and technique that involves a whole lot of flavors from everywhere. It's really interesting and exciting to kind of try all this stuff. Glad you like the food, by the way.
Yeah. And glad I have Adam joining me today to tell me all the amazing stories.
I'm easy. You want to get me out of my house on a writing day, just invite me here. I'll drop everything to come here anytime. I don't mean that as any. I'm happy to come and join you. I like your channel, but
Thank you.
I'm an easy sell to come to this restaurant.
You should totally follow Adam's channel. His channel is amazing. He does video in a format that's almost like documentary. He tells a story about food, culture, history behind it. I really enjoy it. It's almost like mini Netflix. So if you want to know things about food, culture, his channel is the place to go. Recommended by Fusky.
Thank you. And honestly, that is really fun for me about coming on this channel or anytime I do a guest spot anywhere is because we do sometimes not really have the time when we're making history documentaries to just go so deep into what every dish tastes like. It was really fun for me to actually be able to sit down here and relax and have a meal and just focus on the flavor, you know, which in a restaurant like this, I'm enjoying every bite for sure.
Yeah.
I want to say, you know, considering the point of your video is Thai food that you may not know overseas, Bangkok as a tourist city is a well-oiled machine. Whether you're staying in Nana or you're staying in Khao San Road, I mean, you're very much seeing what foreigners typically like. It's a big tourist industry. So it is really cool to do a video like this because to me, to enjoy Thailand, you have to take risks with food. You have to get a little bit beyond that. And Khao Gaeng counters are really overwhelming. You know, you think, is the food safe to eat? It's sitting out on display. That's a huge hesitation for a lot of people. You know, what if I order something I'm not gonna like? It's totally normal to be intimidated. I was intimidated by this at first, so there's no shame in seeing something you don't recognize and feeling a little bit intimidated by it. But to really get that rewarding experience of being here, you gotta dive in, you know, and take a chance. And your plate is completely clean. We did all right. You know, we got a few bites left. I'm gonna make you have one more. You get a little bit of catfish on your
I got
plate.
some more stopping. I'm still gonna eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat a little bit more too.
Let's do that.
But we've done pretty well considering I ordered for about 4 people. You know.
We could eat.
But yeah, thanks for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Same here. All right, so that is pretty much this meal. The food is absolutely amazing, comfort food, maximum, so many varieties. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And also, Adam, thanks for joining my channel.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you reaching out.
No problem.
Great channel. I'm glad to find you and to be welcomed with open arms and a huge plate of food.
Thank you. Let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch for sure.
Yes. And 你说中文对吧？你说一些。
应该可以的。如果你在泰国，肯定必须的100%你需要吃烤干。我不知道中文怎么说，这是那个
盖浇吧，泰国盖浇。
差不多了。
Adam 以前在中国生活差不多有10多年，而且学过川菜，在北京待过，上海待过，在成都待过。Chengdu is my place. So if you ever go to China, let me know.
我真的可以吃辣。
Yes.
When I'm in Chengdu, that's the one thing you have to trust me. 吃辣，没关系。
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.